Hi Frequent Flower subscribers, thanks for joining us for another month. This month your featured flower is the chrysanthemum. Now it's a pretty common flower, you might be really familiar, but hopefully you're going to learn something new and learn about different varieties that are available with your Frequent Flower subscription. You will be receiving a combination of spider mums and Fuji mums. Don't worry, these hair nets aren't staying on. We'll open them up shortly and see how beautiful they are. But you're probably also familiar with traditional chrysanthemums, buttons. We often call these cushion pomps, buttons, daisies. They're all chrysanthemums. So chrysanthemums, say that 3 times fast. They originated in China and Japan, where both of their cultures think very highly of these flowers and they're a large symbol in their cultures. So the one thing that I appreciate the most is that they view chrysanthemums as a happy and peaceful flower that brings happiness into your home. Can't we all use more of that? So I hope these flowers bring some happiness and peace into your home this week. So these varieties that we're using today, the football mums, often used for corsage work. Not so much now, but in the southern states in Texas, it's still a big thing. But in the past, they were very popular. Sometimes they're called a Fuji or a spider mum, and then there's also cremones. They're all different varieties of what a flower farmer would refer to as a disc bud. What they mean by disc bud is when these are grown, multiple buds would be shooting off these plants, and if you look closely, you can see where those have been removed, hence disc bud, to make this top largest bloom be big and beautiful. Now, when we get in the other buttons and cushions, these the farmers want to grow to have more blooms and usually longer laterals. So often you'll see in these that there will be one stem that looks like it's broken, or maybe it'll be short. This is where the first initial bloom was removed, and then that gets these stems to grow the longer laterals, the more flowers. So there's lots of different ways flower farmers will disc bud the chrysanthemums to make them grow for whatever purposes florists need. You'll also be working with wax flower today. This is a flower filler we use often in the shop. It comes in a lot of different colors. It's very delicate and beautiful, and it's a good substitute for something like baby's breath or limonium that you might see more often. Just a different variety, especially if someone's looking for that wildflower look. Wax flower is definitely fits the bill. So today I'm designing in a low cube. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a grid with tape onto our cube. That grid is just going to help keep the flowers in place. If you are a subscriber who's been with us for a while, you've heard me say, cross your flowers, create a grid to keep them standing the way you'd like in your vase. Absolutely, we're still going to do that, but we are going to cheat a little bit and use this tape to help that grid. At home, you could use Scotch tape, a strong Scotch tape. You could cut strips of packing tape to do something similar. If you've got a narrower vase, it may not be necessary, but you certainly can give it a try. So let's start taping. And I'm just spacing it out about a 1/2 inch, putting strips, and then we'll go the other way as well. I've got my vase completely gridded off. That's a little hard to tell, sorry, with the reflection. But I've got, like I said, about every 1/2 inch going back and forth to create that grid. We've got our water with flower food already added. Don't forget to add your flower food. And I'm going to begin with this filler flower. It is going to help us create the grid and give us a base for our mums. I'm going to remove any of the foliage that will be below the water line and start placing in my grid. Now, the grid holds things in place very well. It's very hard to take flowers in and out with the grid. So once they're there, make sure that's where you want them before you completely place them. It's hard to get them back out. I'm filling in with the wax flower all around the vase, evenly spacing them out. Okay, so we've got our wax flower in our vase. Now we're going to open up our mums. Depending on the size of your subscription, you received different colors and different varieties. So on a chrysanthemum, each petal is a little floret in itself. So they come with these socks, is what we call them, or nets, to protect them because the blooms can be pretty fragile. You just want to gently remove the net, and the flower is pretty tight to start. It'll slowly open. If you're impatient, like I usually am, you can very gently push the petals outward, and then you get a pretty beautiful large bloom. We're going to remove all of the foliage below the water line. If you are arranging in a vase where your leaves might be above the water line, I would recommend go ahead and removing all the foliage. For some reason on chrysanthemums, the foliage will start to look sad a lot quicker than the blooms do. So you'll still have a beautiful flower, but you'll have foliage that starts to look wilted and sad. If you take it off, we never know, we don't see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up a few of these and show you. So these are kind of a beautiful bronze football mum. Our white, these are cremones. Sometimes cremones will have more of a center, like a daisy. Still usually a taller floret, but a little bit more like a daisy. They typically have kind of the softer petal. Fuji mums and spider mums can sometimes be a little spiky depending on the variety. I think it's easy to remember spider mum because they almost look like little spider legs. Oh, these yellows are beautiful. So you can see they'll start to slowly open. So as I mentioned before, they each have an individual floret. If one of those florets comes out, the whole thing can shatter. So definitely handle with care. I'll kind of give you an idea. So it almost looks like a miniature spider mum. If a couple of the florets were to come out, that whole thing wants to shatter. Do you see how easily they all fall out then? So that's what you want to be careful about with your Fuji mums. Okay, let's go ahead and open them all up so they have a little bit of time to spread out and we can see how large our blooms will be. Okay, I've got them all open. Let's start designing. I'm going to group my colors just because I like that look. You can certainly mix them up however you'd like to. This is where you get to be creative and design what you'd like for your own home. I'm going to give each stem a nice clean cut and start placing them in the vase. So as long as you're gentle with your tape, you may be able to rearrange a little bit as you go. But what I love the most about the chrysanthemums is they are long lasting. These flowers typically have a vase life of 7 to 10 days, sometimes even longer if you are cleaning your water daily and giving them a nice trim. So here's our arrangement in our vase, just something nice for fall with a little bit of pop of color. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next month.